Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Splash City Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hartman. This week, we got a really fun show. I have an interview with former Gopher co-defensive player of the year in the Big Ten, Travarus Bennett. We'll be talking defense. We'll talk about his team and his journey from Mississippi all the way up to Minnesota, and just some of his, things he's learned through the course of his both playing career, but also his coaching career. So really excited for that conversation. And I'll also break down my teams of the week. We're going back to boys and men's basketball in the state of Minnesota. So I'll go through the four classes of high school basketball and then look at the NSIC and the MIAC conferences as well. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's been going on with the local teams. The Timberwolves really struggling right now, fighting it. They lost 5 in a row. They lost just today as I'm recording Sunday against the Warriors. Really looked lifeless for the most part. Started off the bat just from the jump, didn't have any energy, got down big early, fought back a little bit, but really, tonight it looked like Ant was the only one who was really engaged, at least offensively, shot the ball pretty well, and none of the other starters really did. And honestly, the bench didn't provide much either, so they really are limping right now. They get a back-to-back with the Warriors, so they play again Monday night. Back at Target Center, so a chance maybe to redeem themselves and get things going in the right direction. The Timberwolves are interesting because it feels like every year they kind of have these moments where you're like, oh, now we're going to be in the play-in. It's going to be a tough finish. We're going to have to fight tooth and nail. But eventually, the last couple of years, they've kind of figured it out. So it's kind of a weird moment where you, as a Timberwolves fan, and the trauma we've endured, you're kind of thinking, that maybe this is another one of those, but also the recency has shown us that Finch has been able to get these guys playing well again in February, March, going into the playoffs. So we'll see how the rest of the week shapes up. Gophers, I was at the game yesterday against Nebraska. They were up 8 early in the second half. They actually led 42-41, and the wheels just fell off. It looked to me like they finally hit the wall, hit a breaking point where the depth, the talent, just the durability is starting to wear on these guys a little bit. Kate Tyson goes down about 10 minutes to go with an ankle injury, doesn't come back. And the Gophers just don't have enough playmakers and shot makers at that point with him on the bench. And Isaac Osama, after playing a great game at Ohio State, really struggled this game, got in foul trouble and just never seemed to find a rhythm. And he missed a couple of defensive assignments where he overhelped and left Lawrence open for threes. Second half, Reynolds had done a great job on Price Sanford in the first half, and then just kind of got disconnected a few times around screens. And I think it's just, again, a matter of, the season so far, the Big Ten slate just kind of wearing on these guys. See if they can regroup. They got the rivalry game back in Madison this week. So big game for the Gophers. Obviously, a lot of things will be forgiven if they can pull off an upset there. Badgers actually fresh off a loss today to USC. So they'll probably be a little amped up for that game. We'll see how the Gophers rebound. Before I jump into the conversation with Travarus, I did just want to quickly say that, even going back to my childhood days, I would say basketball has always been an outlet for me when, things weren't going well or things were tough at times. And I've tried to maintain that with the podcast. The last few weeks in the Twin Cities area has been tough. And so I hope, talking ball kind of gets you to forget a few things that are going on in the quote unquote real world. And, it's been a tough couple of weeks for those of us in and around this area. And, to be honest, all over the state of Minnesota. And so I hope you continue to listen, enjoy the show today, enjoy the conversation, and keep looking out for each other out there. So with that, let's get into it. All right, today I'm joined by Travarus Bennett. Travarus was the Big Ten's co-defensive player of the year back in 2002, where he played for the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers. After his time with the Gophers, he spent 15 years playing professionally overseas before eventually moving into coaching back in the Twin Cities area. Travarus is currently the head coach for the girls basketball team at Totino-Grace. Travarus, thanks for joining me on the show.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
I really wanted to have you on specifically to talk about defense. It's kind of my favorite side of basketball. It's where I,
as a low-level high school player, loved the defensive part of the game. Excited to talk about how you're bringing that to your team at Totino-Grace. But first, I want to talk about your journey a little bit and just ask you, what it was like growing up in Mississippi, thinking about where you are today and like how that journey came about as a high school player down south.
Uh, as far as being a player, basketball player, that's kind of unique. From where I'm from, we're a football town, and track and field. Guys who play with the Eagles, Pro Bowler like Fred Barnett, Tim Barnett, those guys who played in the NFL, and we have a ton of other guys that went to high level D1s or and could have probably made the NFL or gone to the NFL if they wasn't sidetracked by whatever it was. Um, but then to be fair, we do have athletes. We're very known for just being super competitive. Where my area, even if we didn't have solid teams or teams that would go to the state in basketball or whatever, we would still be competitive. And the same thing in football. But yeah, I started playing. As far as like organized, maybe eighth grade, I think. Seventh grade, have a funny story on that. A couple of guys, we weren't, I guess you could say we wasn't allowed to play because we didn't play football. So the football coach didn't let us play basketball. Um, it was that type of stuff going on. So I actually can say I probably got lucky that my eighth grade year, the high school boys coach took over the junior high program, and he remembered me from that summer, the summer prior, going to my seventh grade year, and really, he was excited to take over the job, and he wasn't a big fan of how the other coach was selecting his team, was choosing his team. So yeah, that's how that started, and I had my same coach from eighth grade all the way up through high school, and we had like a nucleus of the same type of players, or the same players from eighth grade to my senior year, and that evolved into a special moment my junior and senior seasons.
So back then, did you ever have this, did you know anything about Minnesota? Did you ever think you'd be playing college basketball in Minnesota?
No, no, oh, no, not at all. I didn't have, to be honest with you, leaving high school, Minnesota wasn't on my list at all. My top five schools were at the time was LSU, Mississippi State, UConn, um, Ole Miss, and I had another school. I forget the fifth school. Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas.
Mm.
Um, but I didn't have any Big Ten school out of high school that I could think of right now. But no, like seriously, I didn't have Minnesota on my list at all. That was something that happened out of junior college that uh, they started recruiting me then.
Okay. Were you, at the Gophers, you were a good shooter. I don't want to
Yeah.
take that away from you, but you were kind of known for defense. Did you have that in high school? Was that kind of your calling card in high school as well?
Not at all. I was good at weak side blocking shots and being, yeah, I left high school. I was 6'6", playing the wing, so I can get deflections. But if you were to ask my high school coach about me playing defense, so he had me from eighth grade all the way to my senior year, and to him, I was one of the worst defenders ever. Man. Now I don't know if he wanted to be on me, just was on me like that, but I couldn't guard a telegram pole. Let him tell it, And so, no, he couldn't believe when I got to junior college about the drills that my JUCO coach would tell him that we were doing about diving on the floor, taking
Mm.
charges, and doing that. He was like, "There's no way that T's doing that." You know what I mean? And yeah, I was doing that, but I started to do that because once I got to junior college at Southwest Missouri State, West Plains. Well, our JUCO wasn't like your normal junior college. Everybody on our team went Division 1 after.
Mm.
For example, after my sophomore season, my backup went to Oklahoma. He was a first team All American out of his sophomore year, and my freshman year, That was the only, not the only, but my way to get on the floor immediately. Coming from high school, I didn't qualify for my ACT, so the commitment to going to LSU was over. I didn't
Mm,
know too much about the Prop 48, which was offered to me, but I knew coming from high school at that time that I wanted to play college right away. And to me, I wanted to get on the floor. I didn't want to go to prep school.
mhm.
UConn was getting me, kind of routing me to Wichita Prep out in Boston, but I didn't want to do that either. I didn't know. To be fair on that though, when that was proposed to me about not graduating high school and going to prep school, my grandmother and family, they were like, for a basketball, you're not gonna not graduate. That just didn't register to us.
Yeah.
And then not knowing the stuff, knowing everything about that route. So, anyways, I go to JUCO. And we had some, like I say, our JUCO was really good. We were second in the country, mostly or always top 10. But anyways, we get there. We have two sophomores that were going to start for sure. One was a center, one was a power forward. One ended up going to High Point, and the other one ended up going to UNC Charlotte. And we had a really good point guard that came from Milwaukee, a really good two guard from Milwaukee, and another wing that was there. So that's three perimeter players there. Not to mention there's other players that I hadn't mentioned that came in as well. So for me, I realized one thing, that our JUCO coach, he respected heart. He respected like gritty, really gritty people that will want to win no matter what the circumstances was.
Mhm.
Um, and I took on to that. And I took on to that because of me growing up playing in the parks. Oh my God. Like we didn't have the most talented people playing in those parks. But when I tell you physical,
Yeah.
like those guys were old football players from our high school that had gone to college or whatever. Now they're back and whatever they were doing outside of legal or not, but their extracurricular activity was to play basketball at the parks. And when I tell you those men were physical, is an understatement. I literally talk about this when I with friends or some of those guys that when I got to the Big Ten and started practicing and playing, it was not to say it was easy, but it wasn't the physicality to me that was the difference. It was the thinking of the game because
Mhm.
I grew up playing physical like that. And like I said, my JUCO coach honed in on that. But so that's what started me to playing defense. Like I said, him just really honing in on defense and me wanted to get on the floor. I could shoot, I could dribble okay. For me coming out of high school, I think I was okay or good at everything. I wasn't great at anything. Um, but that what my heart and my will to win separated me and my JUCO coach. He liked that. I remember us doing this drill. It was this passing drill, and I do it today with my girls. I don't do it as physical, but we will literally have three defenders in the middle, and you'll have six passes on the outside. And we were doing passing drills, and I'm in the middle, trying to touch the ball and do all this stuff. Mind you, only thing he said was for the offense, you cannot move out of this certain area. You're not allowed to dribble, and you cannot pass the ball to the person next to you. All right.
Mm,
So in defense, he told us to get the ball. That's all. So me, I'm, playing regular stuff, just trying to tip. And so now I get out and I'm standing, there's a line that you have to enter once you get out or whatever. And I see the guy from Milwaukee and another guy that had been there before. Man, they're grabbing jerseys. They're like ripping people down. I'm like, you know what I say, right? That's a foul. You can't do that. I'm straight out of high school. That's a foul. You can't do that. My coach is not saying anything. If anything, it looks like he's had the biggest smile on his face. I'm like, what have I? Honestly, I was like, wow, this is crazy. So no. So what I did was, I was like, that's what I'm gonna get. That's how I'm gonna get on the floor, because
mhm.
that's how we play at home, where you know not to wear a decent shirt to the basketball court because it's gonna get torn.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is how I'm gonna get out there, and that's how I started. I started just putting that extra effort, and that's when I learned defense is 100. 100. 50% of your heart and 50% of your effort. That's what
Mhm.
defense is. That's
Yeah.
how I think. And that's when I learned it.
So were you recruited by Clem? Because it sounds like a Clem. You sound like a Clem guy. Or
You
was it Dan Munson?
It was Munson, but what's so
Oh,
funny about that is Terrence Simmons that used to play for the Gophers and JB, that's all they used to say, man, Clem would have loved you.
yeah.
That's what they say. But no, he did. I never met him. He didn't recruit me or anything, but that's exactly what those guys said.
Yeah. He loved that. I mean, he got a
Yeah.
bunch of guys out of Michigan. He loved that like toughness. Tom Izzo still talks about that, how, he was so mad that I think it was Willie Burton, who was
Oh,
from Michigan, ended up with the
yeah.
Gophers, and Izzo was like, that was the guy. I can't believe he took him out of Michigan. So yeah, it just sounds like it'd be right up his alley.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
well, one thing I was going to ask you about was the physicality of the Big Ten, because I think it's always been known for that. But I think in that era, the 90s, early 2000s, it was really known for that. So it sounds like you kind of came in somewhat prepared for the physicality of the Big Ten.
Yeah, now, my mind was prepared for the physicality. That doesn't mean my body was ready for it. You know what I mean? That's two different things.
Sure,
Because
sure.
I don't know if you remember my junior year, our very first practice, Jeff Hagan cracks my sternum.
Okay.
And he didn't
On
try
a
to do it
screen?
on the screen. I was I
Yeah.
was literally denying Bickerstaff on the wing and he went back door, and at the same time Hagan was coming to set a backdoor screen. And he hit me, and we literally just collided. Granted, we tell the guys to set screens like this, right? Hagen, of course, Hagen was like this. But anyway, it happened, and I played my junior year with a flak jacket. I really looked like a football
Oh,
player out there my
wow.
junior year. Yep.
Yeah. And Jeff Hagan was a pretty big guy, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
and the coolest, nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
But Jeff hurt everybody, not intentionally, like literally just I think I talked about this somewhere. I forget. Jeff could just be walking through the practice and hurt somebody. Like, come on, Jeff. And then he wouldn't even but he wouldn't know it. That's what made it funny because he would like,
Right.
what? Yeah. Oh my
Uh,
God.
so, let's talk about that final season, I guess, of yours. You won the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten. I think you shared it with Dane Fife from Indiana. Indiana ends up going to the national title game that year.
Right.
Um, they also had Jared Jeffries, who I
Yep.
think was probably the best player on that team. Did you guard Jeffries? Was that your assignment?
Yeah, for the most
Okay.
part, yeah. Of course, there's sometimes some mixing and matching here and there, but for the most
Yeah.
part, every game I would guard the best perimeter or best four. If there wasn't a real post player, I would probably guard him.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what was your like how do you change your mindset going into a game where you're like, okay, I'm probably guarding a 6'4", he's going to be running screens, he's, got the ball in his hands maybe a little more versus like a four, a traditional four, maybe, who's maybe going to post you up and like just do you have to change your mindset going into those games?
Yeah, and strategy. To be honest with you, my one of my strengths was, of course, I was really long, but I really just paid attention to the scouting report. To be honest with you, Mike Peterson was really good on that. Um, Coach Couch gave me ideas on things, and I always had the effort from my other coaches, Coach Barr and down in my JUCO. But yeah, there was two things I knew. For example, if I was guarding a four, I knew he couldn't put the ball on the floor against me, so I wasn't worried about that. Uh, I just always tried to make sure that he didn't get position on me in the post. And for a wing, now that would change again depending on what the scouting report says. If you couldn't really shoot, I wouldn't crowd you as much. Um, if you couldn't shoot and had a great dribble, like I said, I wouldn't. It Yeah, it all depended on the scouting report. To be honest with you, because each player was different. I remember like the guy like Frank from Illinois. He loved to get to that Big Ten symbol and shoot that pull up jumper. Well, don't let him get to the Big Ten symbol. Shoot the pull up
Right.
jumper from somewhere else. Um, the guy from Reuben Douglas from New Mexico. He transferred from Arizona. We played them in the NIT. Well, he was a good scorer, but he didn't like to be physical, so I just was
Mhm.
extra physical. And you know what? The other thing though, what I always did, and I got this from Coach Couch at Minnesota. I just start taking away one thing. I can't stop. You can't stop great offensive players. I don't care how good of a defender you are.
Hmm.
A great offensive player is going to find a way to, to get it, put it in the hole. I wanted to make it hard, and I at least wanted to take one thing away. You're not just gonna be out there toying with me. I didn't like that. So if you were really strong going right-handed, I would just make you go left. You have to do that same move going to your left. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or even if coach said we're pushing baseline and we're doing this, I would literally go ask Coach Munson, like, hey coach, I know we're pushing baseline, but this guy, his right hand is horrible, So he would say T, and I got lucky with that, I guess. I don't know what it was, but Coach Munson them gave me a lot of free reins on the defensive end. They stopped putting me in a box where you know how coaches are. We want you to do this. We want you to do this. Even on some traps, we had a defensive system. We called it like a wild card where it would be a 2-2, but there one person in the middle that would be me, and I could float and do what I want to do. And I guess Coach Munson understood that I was good on reading the offense and seeing what was going on. So yeah, that's for me. I would say I would just really focusing in on the scouting report was real big to me. And you couldn't do the same move over and over on me either. That I wasn't. I didn't go for. I didn't. I don't know. I guess I just wanted to make it tough because I didn't go for pump fakes or none of that stuff. Like if you're
Hmm.
gonna do it, do it. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much of it is just like knowing your opponent, right? Like, where's your
Yes.
advantage? I'm
Yes.
longer than you, so I can give you space, but
Yep.
I could still contest. Or,
Yep.
if you're quicker in the post, if you're smaller, you got to use your quickness and those
Exactly.
types of things. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you talk about, you talk about the NIT team, some of your teammates, I think Rick Rickert, right? Was he on
Yep.
that team? Dusty
Yep.
Reichert, a couple
Yep.
Minnesota guys there.
Yep.
Um, Munson, I think, had some pretty good moments in his run. Um, when you think about the Big Ten at that time and the Gophers' place in the Big Ten, I think your senior year, you guys finished like fifth in the Big Ten.
Yes.
So
Yes.
like,
Yes.
it feels like a long time since there was that success. Even, Tubby had some great teams as well. Um, how has defense changed from that time to today, and like, and how you coach it? Because I talk a lot about it, like, man, offense has changed a lot. Kids shoot all these threes, the bigs are out on
Yeah.
the perimeter handling the ball, but I think defense has changed a lot too, and how people cover that.
You know, I say defense change, which it has a little bit because I think I would probably, to be honest with you, I would average 4 fouls a game in today's game, easy. Because I was real handsy and grabbing and like the little stuff to be annoying a little bit. But the difference is, I think, and this is what I believe as a coach. I believe, for example, if you have a team out there and one person is going super wild and doing all that, I think refs call more fouls on that one person because it looks irregular. It doesn't look normal. It doesn't look like what the team is coached to do. Now, if you get those five starters, or even a person that comes off the bench with that same type of energy, well, now I think the ref starts to relax and say, "Oh, this is how they play." This
Interesting.
how
Oh,
this how they teach. So they let us get away with some things because now they see no everybody they're just playing hard. And I don't
Hmm.
think you can call a foul all game.
Right.
I'm gonna take my chances. You know what I mean? Always play hard, always give effort, and just listen to the scouting report. But for me, it has changed. People, offensive players are better skilled. Doesn't mean better between the ears, but better skilled. Uh, but that's my logic. I just think if I have, like I said before, if I have one player out there going super hard, hands all active and doing all that, everybody's eyes are going to go to that player. You as a coach, the opposing team, the people in the bleachers that are watching the game, they're going to look at that. But like I said, if all five people are out there talking, looking super antsy, hands everywhere, they're not. I feel like they let you play defense.
yeah. You mentioned like the grittiness of it, like learning a little bit of that in JUCO. I've found that that's hard to teach. Like, kids either kind of want to get that way and play that way, or they struggle to. develop that? How do you approach that with your teams and that grittiness and just like that toughness of, not letting paint dry, not letting
Yeah.
anybody to the paint or boxing out on every play. Like, what is it? Or especially like for a player who maybe doesn't have it naturally, how do you go about that?
Again, I think that's our fault as coaches. I think if a kid wants to play, they're gonna do it. I go
Mhm.
back to my junior college coach. We had things or goals we had to reach before you can even get a practice jersey. We had to make the guards and wings. We have to make, for example, I think we had to make the mile in 5:30, and our bigs had to make it in 5:45. All right, now that's for the mile. Now for the 2 mile, no, for the 3 mile, I think everybody had to make it. No, I think the guards may have to make it at 25 or 24, and the bigs have to make it some whatever it was. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't make those times, guess what? You don't get a practice jersey. Now, if you come to practice without a practice jersey, my coach, knowing that you didn't make your run, knowing that you don't have a practice jersey, will ask you, where's your practice jersey? And when you would have that lost look on your face. You see how you laugh, and that's how it would be. You're like, Coach, I didn't make my run. And as soon as you say that, he would make everybody get on the line except for that person. So
Oh, okay.
now there's stuff where now he doesn't have to police us no more. We're
Right.
gonna do that because we don't want to run, right?
Yeah.
So now we do that for those. Now that's where it starts at with those little drills. Getting your practice drills. Now, Mike, you need to make your runs, man, because now you're costing all of us. So now instead of coach saying we got to practice today, we're gonna do our runs and conditioning to next day and try to get in shape. Well, now a couple of us was getting up in the morning. Hey, Mike, let's get up at 6 and go run before we go to school. Hey, let's do this before we so we can make our run. Now that translates to the basketball court. Now you
Mhm.
understand that nothing is accepted. You know what I mean? No
Yeah.
excuses. You know,
Yeah.
there's no excuses for not being on the help side. What are you doing? There's no excuses for not being having active hands. There's no excuses for not giving effort. Like you can't. There's no way you should have an excuse for that unless you're injured. If you're injured, you shouldn't be out there. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
that's all. I think it's more so on the coaches that we're not. We've gotten a little. I don't know if soft is the word, but we've gotten a little passive on certain things. Now, me too. I'm not perfect on that end. There's some things I have to let slide or let go, but for the majority, I'm getting what I want. And I appreciate that when we play a game, most coaches or referees will say, "Gosh, you guys are playing hard." And
Hmm.
for me, that's like a pat on the back because when I hear that, I tell the girls that, and when they hear that, that's like, oh, because sometimes they don't believe they're playing hard because now they've gotten used to playing hard every day.
Yeah.
You are playing hard. We're just not making shots today. you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the at the end of the day, right? Like especially in high school, I think it's a
Yeah.
little different. Like in college, the coach picks the players and you kind of go out and recruit who you want and all
Yeah.
this stuff and so you can level that. But like man, as a high school coach, just hearing something like that is awesome.
Yeah. And
Um,
even like at my junior college, like I said, like all the guys that were on that team coming from high school, they just didn't qualify academically. And one of the first things our coach said when we got there. Now, me, I was one of the top players coming out of Mississippi. Robert Yanders was a top player out of Milwaukee. Him and Lavelle Felton, another guy from South Carolina, North Carolina. We had guys from everywhere, from Denmark. Peter was from Belgium. We had guys from everywhere. We had a transfer from Iowa State. But you know what? The first thing he said at practice, he goes, I'll just say, for example, Tom, I know you was all state here, or you so and so, you was the best player here, and with the same calm voice. Oh my God, Coach Barr. Yeah, but it was the same coach with the same calm voice. Then all of a sudden he'll be like, "Well, you had none of that here now," and it was just like. I think about you're an 18-year-old kid. You're
yeah,
feeling good, all high, and he says that you shrink. But his
yeah,
objective was to kind of cut you down, but he would you will run through a wall for him before that season's over with. And
yeah.
that's the honest God truth. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yep.
A couple of things I wanted to ask you just quickly on defense. What is one of the most common mistakes you see young defenders make today?
Oh man, for me, the young defenders,
Like
I
high
don't
school kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, the biggest mistake, I don't know if I would call it a mistake, but the biggest thing for me is they don't a defensive stance, or even not a defensive stand, their feet. Like they for me, they just they just play straight up too much for me. They don't take away anything. Even if I was to play in the open gym, I'm not gonna just give you every option. No, do one or the other. Like if you're a great ball handler, if I know you're quick, I'm gonna back up a little bit and you show me that you can shoot. There's something I'm gonna take away. If you can't, I just think it's the mistake is okay. The mistake is not really caring about defense. That's the mistake. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah,
biggest mistake for me.
yeah.
Yep.
See, I watch kids and I think, and maybe this is just how I played because I wasn't super athletic,
Mm,
but I always prided myself on like being a step ahead, like kind of thinking angles like he's going to go to this spot. I got to beat him to that spot.
yep.
Or I know he's quicker than me and he's going to catch it and try to drive. Like just that, like playing a step ahead. And
Yep.
as I watch like young kids, and I've got a sixth grader, so I've been watching like that group, but those types of things, like to what you're saying, just like that competitiveness of like, I'm not going to let him get here. He just beat me on a left hand, drive, or he did this move and beat me, like just not going to do it again. And having that, like, that
So
almost that like before the ball gets there, all the work you have to
yes.
do before
Yep.
you're in the play. Like it's
Yep.
that's the part of it that I think is
So
maybe
so
something we have
that
to teach.
so that's 100, and that's where I'm going on about taking things away. For example, if I know I'm playing you this way, and I know you cannot go this way, I should already be shifting my weight to go that
Mm,
way to beat
right.
you to that spot. So you're 100% correct, and I say the same thing offensively as well. There's no way the ball should be hitting your hand and you're just now making the decision. You should know what you're going to do before the ball gets there, and you should be able to read. Now, these two things you should be able to read at the same time. You should know what you're going to do when the ball gets there, and you should already have a visual on how far that defender is to you. So if he's too far and I know I can shoot it, I should be ready to let it go. And if he's coming too fast, I should have that wherewithal to know that I can get by him. So it's the
Hmm.
same thing on offense and defense, just plan a step ahead. Yes.
Yeah. Um, all right. I promised we'd get you out of here on a good time. So I got a couple rapid fire things I
You're
want to ask
good. You're
you.
good, Steve.
Yeah. Uh, Toughest player you ever had to guard?
Oh man, Corey. So there's Corey Hightower. I don't know if you ever heard of Corey Hightower. He played at Indian Hills Junior College. Got drafted by the
Okay.
Lakers. That
Okay.
Corey Hightower. He was like a 6'8", left-handed 1-2-3. He played in high school with McGrady and was supposed to come out of high school that year too, but the
Oh, okay.
lockout happened.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so McGrady came in 90, I think 95 or 96, whatever year that was, but Corey was right after that. Both of them went to Mount Zion. Like he's from I think he's a Flint, Michigan guy too. Oh my
Okay.
God, he was so good. Like that, and to be fair, um, that's how I ended up on Minnesota's and TCU's radar, to be honest with you, playing against Corey, because I had to
Mm.
guard him every time, and that was a nightmare because you know, those people, if this makes sense, that he was so skinny. I was skinny too, but he was so skinny that it seemed like when you elbow him, he just could slither off of it. You know what I mean? Well, one time he crossed me. Oh my God. It was at our home gym. He crossed me and got by me. And while he was in front of me, I'm kind of pursuing. I just hear like a bunch of dribbling. And he shoots it and gets an and one on our center. I mean, I had to go ask. I said, Mike, what did he do? Mike was like, man, he was dribbling the heck out of that ball. But yeah, no, he was so good to me. And there was this one guy, he was a Greek basketball player my first year in Germany. And he like humbled me as far as like me coming from the Big Ten. Of course, I'm coming with aggression first. We want to show our might. So man, this old guy, and he was like, I know that was his last season. It was his last season of playing. So I was 22, 23, my first year in Europe, and I think he was like 30 something. Man, that man told me up. Like literally, like I mean, like he wasn't dunking, he wasn't fast, he was just so technical. And I was like, wow. Now that's when I start to like to be honest with you, when I went to Europe, I started to see basketball. It slowed down for me and became a lot easier as far on the offensive side. That guy,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that guy, man, that guy was doing everything pump fake, up and under this, that footwork. Where I was like, I was so frustrated. I remember looking at the ref like, that's a travel. And then when I go back nowadays, when I look at it and I think about it, he was not traveling. He was just cooking me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about the European basketball because I talked to Jared Berger, and former Wisconsin Badger player, doing some training
yeah.
in the cities the other day, and he played overseas too, and we talked about kind of a similar thing. But I imagine this guy being like the old guy at pickup basketball that you look at him and you're like, this guy's nothing, and then he just
That's,
cooks you because he's just fundamental. He's doing the Tim Duncan bank shots from
yes.
18 feet.
And this how he looked. So he was at the last, like literally his last season of playing. So most of them like are in great shape, but you can tell that was his last year, and he had a big name, and you know his welcoming and all the stuff they've given him flowers and all that before the game. You could tell he was somebody, you know. But like just like you mentioned, his body was. I was like, there's no way, man. I'm about to guard, pick him up 94 feet and make him change directions. And he didn't care about none of that.
Uh, That's so good. Oh man, so what about European like basketball? You know, either offense or defense, but like, just you mentioned how that
It's
kind of made you think differently about the game. What was it about it?
yeah, the European game is played between the ears. Like literally, it's played between the ears. For me, of course, I think us as American, we're way more athletic, we're strong, we're bigger, faster, all that stuff. But I just think from an early age they learn how to play basketball, like good
Mm-hmm.
team basketball, back cutting, no, moving without the ball,
Mm-hmm.
not holding on to the ball. Move just more so team play. Footwork is incredible. Even the young kids, they have great footwork. And that's the difference. It's just and the competition. They are competing every single day, every single game. It's for a reason. Now, I won't knock the college game or even women's game or our high school or whatever. You know, we still have that competitive thing about us, and we're still like learning. But I just feel like they hone in on teaching.
Mm-hmm.
We're practicing. Think about it. You practice twice a day, every day, for the most part. Unless you maybe playing in like one of those real lower levels, but for the most part, you're practicing twice a day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then if they have two prospects that are really good, now he may practice in the morning with his younger team, and then he'll come in the evening and practice with us though with the pros. So he's getting that extra development, and it's a 10-month season. So for 10 months, say you're practicing 4 times a week, twice a day, you're learning how to play the game, how different situations where we hone in on. I think we play too many games here, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think money has infiltrated like way too much. It's more, what can you do for me versus I'm trying to play this game so it can elevate me that way versus like it's just the mentality is what's different. And I'm not gonna knock us because we're super competitive, but our com- our teachings are way different, like way
Mm-hmm.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a lot more people, just in general, like coaches, NBA coaches, even there's more with European
Yes.
experience, and it just seems like something that we're starting to pick up on. Like maybe we need to adopt some of these models. So,
And that's what's funny. I laugh at, how the fans and some of us are scoffing at how the NBA are doing that mid season tournament or whatever.
hmm
Where do you think they get that from?
yeah, yeah,
They get that from Europe. Those are the cup games.
I
You know what
know.
I mean? So
Yeah,
and it worked in it, but what the European style does, those cup games, mid-season tournament, it really means something though. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It can mean something for seedings and all that. And so that's the big thing too. I don't know if this could ever happen in America. Um, but if you finish the bottom two teams in a league in that league, you get demoted. Your team
Mhm.
gets you get moved, and a bottom the winner from a lower level, they get moved up if they have, of course, if they have the money to come up. So
Right.
that makes every game important. You know, and
Yep.
that's the difference too. Versus, let's be honest, I know me, I can't watch NBA until to the playoff. I just can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh, but they don't have those games where people can go sit out for a while because this game doesn't matter. Every game matters.
right. I
Mm.
feel like that might be somewhere where with all the NIL and the
Oh
paying the
yeah,
players might go eventually. I don't know if it'll get there because the NCAA has a lot of influence and power, but like
yeah.
I would love to see that where there's like the NBA
Hmm.
and then there's like two leagues below that. There's like a kind of like a G League 1 and a G League 2 or something. And
Yep.
that's what happens is there's the relegation, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
If they do that, things will change. I think the love for like the NBA basketball will come back because you will see guys really getting after it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if they could like maybe drop a few games too. I don't know that we need 82. How
Exactly.
many
Yeah,
did you
and
play
that's
in Europe? What was it, like a 60 game season or 50 or
well,
not even that many?
I would say you will be scheduled 30. Then if you're playing cup, say you may add another 10 in playoff. Yeah,
Okay.
but maybe you may get to play 40. You're not playing, I
Yeah.
know you're not playing 60. No way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question I had, your favorite defensive drill that you run at practice?
Um, to be honest with you, my favorite defensive drill is literally just to man up 94 feet, baseline to baseline. I hand somebody the ball and they put it in your chest and we going 94 feet. That's my
Okay.
favorite drill because yeah, the offense, and now I do that for points now. Like I don't just say, hey, you get a steal, you do that because sometimes you know how people cheat drills.
Sure.
Um, when you know they're tired, they'll let the girl steal it. No, there's a loser and a winner on that. So that's my best drill because if you can pick somebody up 94 feet and harass them, boom, 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 you show me a lot of grit and heart. That's hard. That's hard to do. So that's probably my favorite. I know it sounds simple. Sometimes simple beats the best.
It's a simple game, from the
Yes,
youth ages
exactly.
to the NBA. It's kind of a lot of the same things. It's just people do it bigger, faster, think a little bit quicker. But
Yep.
so how do you award the points? Is it like how many times they get turned or something like that? Or
Yeah,
how do
so
you
I may
award?
say, so that's exactly. So this is what I do. I may say, hey, we're going to 10 points. You get 1 point for a basket, you get 1 point for every turn, and you get a point for a rebound. Simple as
Mm,
that. You know, so that means offensive or defensive rebound now. You know what I mean? So that means the
mhm,
offensive player, you get a chance to get down there and score or get a chance to get an offensive rebound. So you at least get a chance to get a point if possible. And now the defense, you get a chance to get a lot more points if you're able to turn them and all that. Now, depends on how advanced my team is and how well we're playing defense. If you get beat on, if you hand that ball off straight to their chest and they beat you all the way, you go back to zero.
mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you better grab their jersey or something. You know what I mean? So don't. That's how we do. Yeah.
You're going back to the Tom Izzo
Yeah.
practice style. There we
Yes.
go. The
Yes.
the
Yes.
junior
Yeah.
college level. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, so what is we kind of talked about this a little bit, I guess, but maybe to summarize, if you had some advice to give a young player, let's call them like a seventh, eighth grade boy or girl, what can they do? What can they learn right now? What should they be thinking about to become the best defensive player they can be?
You know, go first of all, go play, and just always try to guard. If you're playing pickup ball, go guard the best player on the other team. No matter if it's a point guard, if it's a center, whatever. Just go guard the best player all the time. You know, and secondly, I don't know how you could prepare or put things in someone, but go somewhere where it's going to be super competitive. Don't go anywhere where you're the best player out there, or you're somewhere in the gym, or they're calling fouls all the time. Go somewhere where you can really play. And I would say, preferably, if you're a seventh and eighth grade or whatever, go play with people 2, 3 years older than you. You know, so they're going to be bigger, stronger, and faster. So that only can help you. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Love that. All right, so when we wrap here, I wanted to give you a little time to talk about your team. You guys picked up a win earlier this week to move to 8-8, back to 500. What are you liking about your team? What do you got coming up? Any players you want to give a shout out, or I mean, maybe the whole team, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you, you know, to be honest with you, what I'm looking forward to is us getting healthy. So Monday, what I thought, well, Monday we're gonna have mostly everybody back. Um, should have everybody back Monday. I would say that, and that would be our first time having a complete team since December the 4th.
whew.
Yeah, it's been a while, and one of those players that are out is Ava Lateki, who's was averaging 18, 19 points a game. She was our leading rebounder. And to be honest with you, if she wouldn't have gone and missed so many games, she would have been an all-state player this year. She's about 6 foot 6'1", and she plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me.
Nice.
And I say that on offense, but defensively, she's just as good. And that's what I like about her the most. Of course, she gives us the points, but I was told, to be honest with you, when I came in that she, doesn't give the effort and all that. And I found that to be false. She
Mm,
plays extra hard on defense. To be honest with you, I have her when she's guarding point guards. We worked on it this summer. She picks them up full court now. So she'll be back, and with her being back, that helps our other players go back to their roles. We have some girls that didn't play much last season, and they play a lot for me this season. But when Ava got hurt, they were even pushed up to bigger roles. And I don't think, or I know some of them wasn't ready for it. Especially my ninth graders. They played ninth grade basketball last year, so now they come from ninth grade being thrown straight to varsity because
mm.
of our injuries. And in saying that, now we've lost a couple games. I think we started 4-1 or something with Ava, or 3-4-1. Beat a really good Becker team. Then we kind of struggle when you play against the Hill Marys, when you play against the Delanos, the Oronos. You need
Mhm.
everything you got to play them, to beat them. Um, but in saying that, I will say this last month and a half has given me the opportunity to create a bench.
Right.
Before I was playing 6, 7 girls. The 7th girl I was kind of a little nervous about, but now I know I have 8 girls. I found one girl showed me that, yeah, maybe she's lost or doesn't do everything right in practice, but for some reason in those games, she's doing it right. You know what I mean? And like they say, some people are game players, some people are practice players. And as a ninth grader, I hate to say it, she's a game player. Uh, but that has helped a lot. We got Ella Walinga, who's a ninth grader. She's one of our posts. Only been playing basketball for 2 years. She's going to be really good. Um, Tasia Chapman's ninth grade is going to be really good. Um,
Is that
Ella
Tyan
Brown.
and Tyson's sister?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
She's going
yeah,
to be
okay,
really good.
yeah,
She's been starting as a ninth grader since Ava's been out.
okay.
Um, so she's going to be good. We got Ella Brown, who's the girl I said is more so. I was a little on the rocks about putting her out there, but no, even when Ava gets back, she's going to stay in the rotation because I don't know how. Well, I do know how because she's so fast. And I feel like she's so nervous that it makes her not scared. Do you know what I mean by that? Like she's too, she's so scared that she's not scared. So she's making plays. I mean, like, I'm a big believer, and I teach it about back tipping. Girls dribbling it up, don't just jog. No, go back tip that they're not looking. She gets 1 or 2 back tips every game. So that's big. And other than that, like I can't say any more about Maria Radava. She had 45 the other day. And I mean she was doing, and it wasn't a 45 where you're like, gosh, she's shooting a lot. No, she was playing good basketball. At the end, no, it was a time, maybe like the last 5 minutes, I had girls fouling out. So I didn't know. I was like, gosh, I gotta play this girl. So I sit on the bench, and mind you, when I'm looking at the score clock, I don't look at how many points my girls have. I look at their fouls and I look at the time. I have my assistants tell me about timeouts and that stuff. So I lean back, and Ryan first, I said, man, do you realize Maria has 40 points? He's like, yeah, where have you been? You know what I mean? I was like, I just didn't realize it. But she's playing the point guard now. I've been big. Before she would pass it and get off it and go do whatever. Now, and what I've been wanting from her, and she's excelled at it as being a point guard, like leading the team. And that means we may be running a system, but if we can't get anything out of that at a certain amount of time, we have a time limit that we look at the shot clock and we know if we haven't scored by then, we need to be doing something. So she goes get the ball and run our whatever it is. It could be our 1-4 flat screen and roll. It could be something like that. And that's what she's been doing like the last, I would say those first three games, it was hard for her because she's so unselfish, you know. And I was, but these last 6, 7 games, turned it up a notch, and she's been playing really, really well. Amelia Saylor has been shooting the lights out. Her and Sophia Pearson, they've been shooting the lights out. These are two girls that they played a little bit last year. They're juniors, but they didn't play as much, and they don't have those. They didn't have the same responsibilities that they have with me. And I feel, and I hate to hop on this, but that's another, and I don't want to give this away, but this is my secret to having them play good defense as well. I don't limit them from taking shots. If you're wide open, shoot it. If I know you're in the gym and you're getting your shots up and I know you can make that shot, shoot the ball. So that's the only, for me, I cannot ask a girl or a person, period, to go run through a wall, play this super good defense, do all this, do that. But no, you can't shoot.
Mm.
Nah, that doesn't work like that. And I
Yeah.
tell Ella Emslander, I told her that she plays so hard on defense. Sometimes I have to tell her to relax because it's like she's almost tackling people. I'm like, gosh, I want you to play hard, but not that hard. And anyways, she was in the beginning. She turned down some shots and all that. And my word was to her was, look, you play too hard on defense not to reward yourself on the offensive end. Man,
Mm.
shoot the ball. And that translate I feel like once they seen that I'm not a big stickler on you shooting the ball as long as it's a good shot, you're not being selfish. I'm only concerned, not only concerned, but if you're at my game and you hear me shouting and yelling, it's mostly on the defensive end. And it's not yelling, it's just kind of directing where I want you to be. And on the offensive end, I let them play. We know what we should be doing. We know where we should be and all that stuff. And I don't yell and shout for one simple reason. I want them to be relaxed on offense, and I want you to be panicky on defense. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been working out for us. And I want to make sure I don't leave anybody else out of there. I feel like that's the 8 that mainly play varsity. But again, now I do have some good ninth graders that are coming up, and that helps as well. Uh, and I can't wait to see how that turns out. And to going into sections here to finish the season, our record is not going to show what team we really are.
Right.
So that's another blessing that we're going to be one of those. It may be hard in the beginning when you draw those better teams, but I feel like we're going to be severely underestimated.
Yeah. I mean, battle
Yep.
test, like you said, you got some injuries, so now other players have to step up and help
Yep.
them improve, get more reps.
Yep.
Generally, I feel like that works itself out. And as you
Yeah.
know, hopefully you're playing your best ball in February and early March, right?
Yeah, it's a blessing in disguise. I had a few parents. I
Mhm.
think they were worried about me being depressed or being down. We went on a good skid there. I think we lost three in a row or something. And I got a couple emails, parents saying, "Hey, I hope you're feeling good. Just you're doing a great job and just stay positive." And I was like, "I'm fine. I'm loving the fact that I'm watching these young girls grow. I'm
Right.
looking for a bench. I wasn't. They were like more panicky than me. I understood the importance of Ava. You know what I
No, parents could be a little bit more panicky than coaches. Come on now. Uh, well,
Yeah,
Travaris, thank you. This was awesome. Love the conversation. Could keep talking for hours about especially defense, but just basketball in
right.
general. I really appreciate you coming on. Good luck the rest of the season, and don't be a stranger.
Hey, thanks. And you don't be a stranger either, Steve. Thanks so much.
Now for one of my favorite segments that I do on the podcast, and that is to give love to the high school teams across the state of Minnesota, as well as some of the Division II and Division III college teams we have. We have great basketball in the state, and I love to give a shout out and a special devotion of time to these teams. So with that, let's talk about the Class 4A Team of the Week, Buffalo Bison in the Lake Conference. Buffalo is tied for first with Wayzata, The Wayzata did knock out Buffalo earlier this year. However, they have rattled off 5 straight wins, including ranked Hopkins and a ranked Maple Grove team before finishing the week with a win over Minnetonka. Buffalo has a great tradition and a great program. They are going to be players in the Class 4A playoffs. Class 3A, I got the De La Salle Islanders. De La Salle, this is what they do. They get ready. They start peaking at the right time of the year. They lost that 1-point heartbreaker to Richfield just earlier this month in a great game at Richfield. But since then, the Islanders have won 5 in a row, including a really impressive performance, 14-point win over Class 4A Champlain Park, who has been playing better now that they are fully healthy. The rematch between Richfield and De La Salle should be epic. In Class 2A, I'm going with the undefeated Morris area Chicago, Alberta Tigers. Alma mater of Chicago, Alberta. Shout out there. Morris is undefeated. They beat previously highly ranked Montevideo, and they just continue to run through teams. Very athletic group there. You got the Asmus brothers, Riley and Alex, Tyson Grove, Benjamin Tiernan. This is a really deep, quality team. Huge chance for them to make the state tournament this year. And then Class A, I have Red Lake County. Up north, Red Lake picked up a big win over Nevis, pretty good Nevis team, who I believe is 11-3. This defense for Red Lake County is fantastic. They're holding opponents to 48 points per game. Defense generally is something that travels, and of course, matters big time come tournament time. So look for Red Lake County to continue, as they are undefeated right now and ranked, I believe, number 3 on the Strip varsity poll. My Northern Sun team of the week is the St. Cloud State Huskies. They are on an 8-game winning streak. January 17th, they had a big overtime win over UMD. Luke Winkle, sophomore, 5'11" guard, leads the team in scoring with 19 points a game. He had back-to-back performances with 24 points last week. And then also can't forget about White Bear Lake native Wyatt Hawks, who's grabbing nearly 9 rebounds a game. The Huskies are my NSIC team of the week. In the MIAC, my team of the week is the Concordia Gophers. Now, again, might be a little biased. I spent 1 year coaching Concordia, but they are 5-4 in the MIAC, coming off 3 straight wins. So kind of getting back into that MIAC tournament playoff picture. 2 main players, Jacob Cook, a 6'6" senior out of Ashby, Minnesota, second in the MIAC in scoring at nearly 21 points a game. And then Jackson Logie, 6'8" senior from Morris, Minnesota, rebounding machine, leads the MIAC with over 11 rebounds a game. They got one of the top scorers in the league, one of the best rebounding big men in the league. Cobbers looking to make a push here in the MIAC. So that's the show for today. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks to Travarus Bennett for joining. Really excited to follow the Totino-Grace girls program, and hope you enjoyed the conversation about defense. It's, like I said earlier, one of my favorite parts of the game. I love talking defense and the strategy behind it and the amount of effort that it takes to play good defense. And then, of course, the teams of the week, shout out to them. Hopefully the Timberwolves and Gophers can get back in the win column here this week. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but it's cold. It's that time of year. The weather's going to start turning though. We're getting a little bit more sunlight. We're getting about a month out from some tournament play across the different leagues. Again, if you have a chance, follow on Instagram, follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment or review on Spotify or Apple. We'd love to get your feedback. Love to hear your thoughts on the program. That's the show today. Again, this has been the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag again.